Joining me now, Marshall Saviers. He is the CEO and principal at Cushman and Wakefield Sage Partners. Always good to have him with us and to get his take. Thanks for being here, Marshall.
You bet. Happy to be here, Roby.
Another quarterly commercial real estate report, another reason for us to get together
That's
and
right.
dive into it. Let's begin with this first quarter of 2025 market report here shows that the office vacancy rate fell to 4.4% in Northwest Arkansas, the lowest level since 2010. Is this a response to return to office mandates? Is this a response to the population growth in the area or and business expansion, or is it something else or something in combination?
It's definitely both of those things. It's also because we just have a lack of supply here in the area, and we talked about this in our previous quarter. Look, it's really expensive to build, so that makes it tough to do anything unless you're doing it of scale. For instance, Mrs. Hunt in Pinnacle is building a new 200,000 foot office building that's sorely needed given the lack of supply here. Um, but look, if you look at it over the last 12 months, we've absorbed 1.5 million feet of office space, which is just really incredible. So that's a testament to the region. It is a testament to the return to office for sure. It's also a testament to the high construction costs in the area, which is suppressing construction here.
Yeah, there's definitely high costs. We did a recent deep dive on that a few weeks ago, and I was shocked at the square footage rates there. But I think that the demand is there, so we're going to see some meeting of it. Let's talk about retail vacancy. Fell to a low of 3.25% in the first quarter here, according to your report here. As you mentioned, the same with the office space, demand is very elevated, but the construction sector very constrained right now. Not enough workers, higher
Right.
cost of input cost, and things like that. What's your take on the construction sector, and what do you think it's going to take in terms of a solution to meet this increasing demand? Because clearly there's a demand for more retail space too.
We're when you're at 3.25%, you're essentially at zero. That means that you are too tight of a market. We there's not enough that is going to be delivered. We had vacancies. I'm sorry, we had deliveries go down again this quarter because it's hard. And what you have with retail is different than office somewhat, in that these are smaller buildings, so you don't get the economies of scale. And we don't get the economies of scale. You've got to have higher rents, right? So you've got to have the rents reflect the construction costs. The rents just haven't caught up to the construction costs, especially on the retail side. So we need more delivered, but it's hard to make the numbers work and hard to get your financing in place because of, but financing costs have been high, over the last year as well as construction costs. So both of those things, and then when you double that with the growth in the area, for instance, Bentonville had the highest ever sales tax collections last month at over 80%. So you've got more people consuming, less product being delivered, which creates a really low vacancy rate that frankly needs to be a little bit higher.
Do you think that we'll see some folks go back into some areas of that are already developed and try to do some sort of revamp, some sort of rescale, maybe even some upgrades or expansions to some existing properties? Is that a cheaper solution?
That's a great question, Roby. It's something we're just starting to see here in Northwest Arkansas because when you think about the region, the commercial side's really only 20 to 30 years old. So some of those buildings that were built at the early end of what we would call the first phase of growth in Northwest Arkansas as a region, those buildings are functionally obsolete and or not the highest and best use. So we are seeing that. We're seeing, if you use, for instance, a development that's going on in Rogers right now, the Whole Foods development, which is going to be the highest rents in the market. They tore down two office buildings that were built less than 10 years ago, right around 10 years ago. Really nice office buildings. It was basically on the side of a hill. So they had to tear down office buildings that they bought at office building prices to do a bunch of site work on the site and then put their development in. So that is something that we have never seen before in Northwest Arkansas, is this type of redevelopment going on. We'll see it continue in the future as well.
Very interesting. All right, let's talk about the industrial vacancy rate. This is more or less warehouse space.
Yeah.
We hear increasingly that there needs to be a demand for that. A little bit of a buck of the trend here, though. The current industrial vacancy rate in Northwest Arkansas, 4.9%. That's actually up from where it
Yep.
was a year ago. Is this a cause for concern? Or do you just, again, see some sort of, what do you see at work in terms of market forces here?
Yeah, industrial is interesting because if you get a 200,000 foot building, for instance, that's delivered, that really swings. Our market's still small enough that that really swings the numbers, right? So you'll see the industrial rate swing more wildly than you will say retail or office. So we have a couple 200,000 foot buildings that are slated to be delivered late this year, early next year. That'll swing the numbers again, but we are still seeing, really positive absorption on the smaller industrial side. So our average size industrial tenant's about 15,000 feet. So what we call flex, which is smaller industrial buildings that can have showroom in the front, ship out of the back, those are really in high demand. Rents continue to go up for those. We're seeing those rents in the low to mid teens, which couple years ago would have been in the $8 to $9 a foot range. So that market's super healthy. The larger distribution market is it kind of comes and goes. It takes a little bit of time to lease them up. We're not a true logistics market, right? We don't. If you look at us, Northwest Arkansas versus Little Rock or Fort Smith, for instance, you don't have the interstate connectivity or the rail that you have in those areas. So it's a little bit harder to get some of those bigger distribution buildings filled. But what you do have is these smaller industrial spaces that need to be filled just because of the growth of the area and those suppliers that have to supply that growth.
Do you think there's an opportunity? I'm going to have you put your Northwest Arkansas Council hat on here.
Sure.
Do you think there's an opportunity for some more of that larger industrial space to develop, though? The
Oh
legislature
yeah.
has just passed, this new restructuring of industrial development authorities, and I think that the goal of that was to help areas like Northwest Arkansas develop out more of this type of distribution style building.
We absolutely need it. There is no doubt when I have an industrial user come to the market and we take them around Northwest Arkansas, there's just not that many ready-made sites that are zoned for industrial and ready to go on the infrastructure front. You have green fields all over the place, but some of these cities don't want, understandably, industrial on those green fields. They want something more mixed use or retail, get those sales collections. So I get that. But we've got to have a place that we can point to and say, hey, here's a spot for you. If you want to move to Northwest Arkansas and build your own building or lease a building that you can have ready to go in short order.
You think we could see an industrial park kind of develop out near the airport?
Boy, I hope so. It's the most logical spot with the airport connector road that's being built right now, and the 612 412 bypass. It's really going to open up around the airport for new development on the industrial side. If you think about it, there's Walmart distribution facilities and other distribution facilities just north of the airport, and those folks have to snake through Bentonville, which is already congested, in order to hit I-49. So once that airport connector road and the bypass are complete, that's really going to open up around the airport and north of the airport, for all kinds of different uses.